Hi everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day. And Mark, thanks for organising this. Thanks to Globe for having us. Um, as I've been introduced already, Sam is my name. I'm responsible for Bell's business in the region. Many of you will also know Nick Jones. He's on the call with us in perhaps more of a supporting role. But Nick, by all means, if you want to jump in and can do so, please do. And obviously, Nick will be there to engage in any Q&A towards the end. So with all of that being said, I'll jump straight in and talk a little bit about IQ products and the benefits that this technology can bring to your business. Okay, so to begin with, I'll be very clear about what IQ products are and what they're not. So IQ products is a range of traditional looking rodent control devices, traps and bait stations that contain or have integrated within them sensors that capture information. What this isn't is a remote system that's going to send you text messages and emails and alert you to what's happening without you being there. This is a tool to make you or your technicians more efficient and better at rodent management. So these devices capture information and that information is then gathered using the Bell Sensing app with Bluetooth. So this requires a technician to be in proximity to the devices at the account. So there are three elements to the system, really. There's the sensor, which is integrated within the device itself. There's the mobile app, which is called Bell Sensing, which is available from the iOS or Android app stores. And there is the web portal, which is accessible at bellsensing.com. Now, none of these segments, none of these parts of the system works without the other one. So these devices are no good to you unless you have the app and also have you sign up at the web portal. Buying the products and just expecting and getting the app and just expecting it to work is not enough. That you have to do the whole thing, and it starts with the web portal itself. So what is IQ technology? As it says there on the screen, it's a range of products that communicates information that you previously didn't know about activity that's happening on your accounts. So the devices capture activity as it occurs. So when, for example, a rodent enters a bait station, it wakes up the sensor, and the sensor captures the time and date, and it just holds on to that information. And that's really useful as a pest manager to know what's happening and when, to understand trends and also perhaps identify the root cause. So here's a bit of a specification. Bluetooth, we know Bluetooth technology, we trust Bluetooth technology. It's been around for a while, and we probably all use it in some form every day or close to every day. I know I've used Bluetooth already. What's the time now? 10 a.m. I've used Bluetooth probably for 3 hours already this morning with speakers and headphones and my car, etc. So it's a technology we know and trust. Now, much like your speaker or your headphones, the Bluetooth range is typically about 30 meters, but that can vary a little bit depending on what's going on in the environment. Bluetooth signal isn't particularly well transmitted through metal or through thick concrete, but with a direct line of sight, often that range can be extended much further than 30 meters. And something else I've learned about Bluetooth over the last few years is that the more times you connect to a particular device with a particular device, the stronger that signal becomes. So over time, that range may begin to increase as well. The components, the electric components of the bait stations and the traps are completely integrated. So when you look at the device, hold it in your hands, there's not really anything to see. There's no real giveaway that there's an electronic component in there. It's just completely integrated, fully sealed using a technique called ultrasonic welding. And this produces a product that is rated to the IP67 standard, which means it's completely waterproof, weatherproof, and dustproof as well. So it can be used in any conditions whatsoever. And the battery life, because of the IP67 rating, it's not possible at a price point to create replaceable batteries at this point. So the battery life on the products is approximately about 3 years. And you may note that I say about and not at least, because battery life can be determined by a number of different variables. And we're saying about 3 years because that is, what we're comfortable to say. If you buy these products and you have dead batteries after a couple of months, then let us know and we'll take care of that, because obviously that would be a problem, and that's not something that happens very frequently. But if you get 2 years and 10 months, then I'm afraid that is about 3 years, so you'll be on your own there. But that'll be more than offset by the number of products that will go way beyond 3 years in lower activity or more temperate areas, for example. And at 3 years, or at the end of the battery life, then the products would need to be replaced in their entirety. So that doesn't mean you have to throw them away, of course. A bait station that is no longer a sensing bait station is still a usable bait station. It can be used elsewhere, but in order to continue to see the benefits of IQ, then you would need to replace the product completely. So integration of technology is in other industries. It's in other service industries particularly, it's massive, it's everywhere, and it's here just on the screen are just a couple of examples of how. And one of the things you'll perhaps note there from just the examples on the screen, inventory control and automated orders, for example, is these aren't necessarily remote systems. This isn't something that's doing the job for someone. It's just technology that's helping them to be more efficient in their day-to-day. And there seems to be a perception in pest management that in order for technology to be really valuable, it has to do the work of the technician. And that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. We want this to be a tool that helps technicians be more efficient and more effective, but not replace pest managers. Pest managers have a lot more to offer than just checking devices, hopefully at least. So again, some more examples, and this is kind of just feeding into the way that we as a company, and certainly myself, and I'll speak for you as well, Nick, are thinking about this, is how can we use technology to make things more straightforward and more efficient and effective for the pest management industry. So here are a few reasons. Why is it important? So I won't go through these points individually, but the middle point there, the low barrier to entry. We hear this a lot in the industry. People complain about how easy it is to become a pest manager. And you'll have your own opinions on that, for sure. But implementing technology in a way that can set your business apart from those businesses that you want to be set apart from, I guess, to say it kindly, is a really simple way to do that. At the beginning there of this webinar, Mark mentioned the multinationals kind of marketing their proprietary systems, and he's absolutely right. That is happening, and it is generating a demand. It's generating a demand not necessarily for remote systems, but what it's generating a demand for is data and information. And that is where IQ products completely outshine any other product that's available anywhere in the world. So what are you paying for? You're paying for traps and bait stations, right? Whether you're buying IQ bait stations or generic bait stations from somewhere else, or T-Rex traps, or copies of T-Rex traps, or wooden snap traps. Essentially, they're all doing the same task as the next one. A bait station is holding bait, a multiple catch trap is catching mice, or a snap trap is hopefully catching rats. The typically they're doing the same thing. But your customer really is paying for more than just the device you're putting down. They're paying for your time and they're paying for information. And that's where IQ is streets ahead of anything else that's available, and certainly streets ahead of any kind of non-censored, non-technological rodent control devices. So that's where the benefit really sits for these products is the time savings and the data gathering. So there you go. You can provide an exemplary, profitable service in any industry if you can secure time and information. And we love this slide. The power of using the right tool. There would have been a time, some time ago now, I'll admit, that all construction was done using acoustic, if you will, screwdrivers, handheld, manually operated screwdrivers. And then at some point in time, someone came along and invented the electric drill. At one point, they would have required extension cords, and now we have cordless drills. And it seems like a no-brainer because of the time saving. Now, imagine if I, as a salesperson, went to a construction manager and said, I can save you 100 times on your tooling costs. I'd get the meeting, they'd want to talk to me, but once I said, I'm going to replace all of your electric screwdrivers with these old school manual screwdrivers, they'd laugh me right out of the building. And I think we're at the beginning of a, I don't want to put it too strongly, but potentially a revolution in rodent management where capturing information and assessing data based on opinions of the technician we're kind of entering an era where that is the manual screwdriver, and IQ products are the Milwaukee drill. So 6 reasons that we think IQ is a really neat system for your business. The time saving, the data capture, employee satisfaction is a big one. If you're excuse me, if you're employing people, you're asking them often to do some quite mundane tasks, and that is the nature of pest management. Checking bait stations and traps is a repetitive, quite a mundane part of the job. Empowering them with technology gives them a lot, I would imagine, in most cases, a lot more satisfaction. Perhaps as a business owner anyway, more important than employee satisfaction is your customer satisfaction. And if they're receiving verifiable service, if they're receiving the right data and proof that what you're doing is working for them, if their rodent problems or management is under control, and you can show that it's better than it's ever been, then you're going to have a happy customer. Safety is another one. If we can check devices just by being in proximity with Bluetooth, that massively limits the amount of access equipment we need and the number of ladders we need to climb, etc. So every time we don't climb a ladder, that's one less time that we're going to fall off a ladder. So safety is huge. We can now check bait stations and traps in suspended ceilings, for example, just by being in the room underneath, and that's a huge win. And of course, professionalism. This system generates service reports. It's completely verifiable, and it does a lot of the reporting work for you. So it produces a really smart, professional-looking, customer-facing report, which may set you apart from your competitors. So I mentioned before there are 3 elements to the system, and the middle part of that is the app. This is what the technician will use in the field while servicing the customer. And essentially what you're looking at on the image of the phone there, each one of those icons, it represents a device. So as you get within readable range of those devices, those icons will populate with either red, yellow, green, or blue. And there's the app key on the right-hand side. So if you are within range and there has been high events, a high number of events, which is determined by an algorithm based on historical activity at that particular site, the app key will go red. and appear red on your phone, and that's telling you as a technician or telling your technicians that they need to go to that device and do something. Similarly, if it's yellow, it's just a slightly lower number of events. Or blue is what we call a mandatory service. So you might, as a business owner, set the what we call the service rules that you, for example, you might want to say on every third visit, we want to check everything manually anyway, or we want to replace every bait on every third visit. And you can set the service rules when you create the accounts, and that triggers the app key to go blue, which is essentially a prompt to the technician saying, mandatory service, you must go to this location and carry out some work. So that's the key. And obviously, if it's green, then it's good. There's been no activity there. And depending on how you set up your operations, if it's green, you can pretty much just walk past those devices without checking, because you know there's been no activity, and focus your energy instead where you know that there have been events or there has been rodent activity. This is what it looks like. You would log in with this. You create your account at the portal, and I'll show you the portal a little bit in a few slides. You log into the account on the app using the same details. Then you will log into your organization account. Then you'll access the customer's account, start the visit, and then when you do that, all of the devices will appear in a list, and then they will populate as you complete your service and get close to those devices. Now, the web portal is, I think, really the neatest thing, certainly from a data collection point of view. The web portal is where it all comes together. So what you're looking at here is a summary of kind of the home page for the organization. So in this instance, imagine sample organization is the pest control company. And as where you see there, A, B, and C, if you were a pest control company that had multiple locations, that's the branch function. So you can set up under one umbrella, you can set up multiple branches. Active accounts there, B, that is the customer. So this is kind of US vernacular. They talk about accounts. Here in Australia, we'd probably just talk about customers. And C, they're active users. That is the number of technicians, essentially, that you have registered using the Bell Sensing app under your organizational banner. Now, as you sort of delve further into the portal, you'll go into the accounts. In this account, we're looking at Father Christmas's account. So we'll click on the customer's name. We would set this up prior to beginning, prior to installing the devices. You click on the customer's name, and you can dive in there and see all of the devices that are associated with that account. And you may note there that one of the things it shows you is the time and date that those devices were last connected to. So this is a really verifiable way of producing or of servicing a customer, right? So it's a step further than barcode scanning, because barcodes can be duplicated. There's no way of convincing, there's no way of faking a Bluetooth connection. So in order to appear on the last service list, or for the right date to appear, then it must have been connected to by the technician. So essentially, this is a really nice way of keeping your technicians honest and ensuring that those devices are getting serviced when they say they're being serviced, which is perhaps more important to the customer than it is to you. But obviously, doing what they're paying you for is a good way of keeping your customer happy. And the portal also collates all of the data that it collects and produces really pretty and effective visualizations of this data. So it puts all kinds of data into graphical form. This is all filterable by device type, by service date, you can filter it pretty much as far as you want. So you can, if you wish to look at a graph from a particular time period, then you can filter it to do that. Or if you want to look at the life of the account, then you can do that as well. Tracks bait usage. So in the app, as you service these accounts, if there's activity at a particular device, you'll go to it, you'll interact, you'll service the bait station as usual, and then interact with the app. And it gives you the opportunity to log your bait usage or add some notes as well. So your application rate, your bait application rate is tracked. And again, it's presented in graph form if that is useful to you or not, but it's there and it does it for you. The data doesn't require any upkeep. And I should say as well, all of that data is exportable very, very easily, downloadable into CSV or Excel format. So it can be easily uploaded into any other software that you might be using that might be value in doing that. Now, at the completion of the service in the app, it generates a summary report, and that summary report is automatically sent to whichever email address is set up to receive the report at the end of the service. So any information that is collected in the app during the service, whether that's capture or captured numbers or event numbers or bait applied or any notes that a technician adds to the to that device during the service will appear on this report. So it's very important if it's being sent to the customer. It's really important that we understand that what we're writing in the app is going to be seen by the customer. And there's no limit to the number of email addresses that can receive this. So you can send it directly to the customer. You can send it to your office. You can send it to your mother if you wish. It can go anywhere you want it to go. So the whole point here is to produce, for us to create a product that helps you to provide information to every type of account at every type of location. Now, we all know about IPM, right? We talk about it a lot. I have my doubts how much we actually live that as an industry, but let's pretend we do. And I think we're moving into an era where we're going to have to do more of this as an industry and rely less on pesticides. And at the core of integrated pest management is inspection and monitoring. And any tool that can help you to monitor and to verify activity levels as they pertain to thresholds that have been established are going to make your life much easier. And that's exactly what IQ products do. So how we get asked this question quite a lot. How does this fit for residential? Well, it's not for us to tell you how to run your businesses. Of course it's not. You'll have your own models. But we think there's an application for IQ products in residential pest management. Certainly in the United States, IQ products are being used quite heavily in residential pest management. Simply the safety aspect, if nothing else. If you're installing devices in roof spaces, every time, like I said before, every time you don't get on a ladder is one less time you can fall off a ladder. So you can monitor your customers' premises much more easily and safely, and only go into those places if it's strictly necessary, if there's verifiable activity. And depending on the residential customer, they might really like that information. Some people won't care, and that's okay as well. It may not be for everyone all the time, but I don't want this to be discounted as an option for residential pest management. Now, commercial, it's much easier to see the fit for our the way we do pest management in Australia, right? Certainly and I guess the more compliance heavy the commercial customer is, the more interest they will have in such a thing. So the establishment of thresholds and the ability to look at historical trends verifiable trends, not trends that are generated by your opinion or the previous technician's opinion or someone else's opinion. We've always done pest management a little bit with a best guess mentality up to this stage. And we all interpret things a little bit differently than the next person. What IQ does is capture information in a really verifiable and completely objective form. So having all of that information collated for you helps you to provide a much better commercial service. And of course, it saves you a lot of time as well. So, I mean, in this image, for example, these are all multiple catch traps. You can just walk past these and your phone will connect to these devices as you are in range, and you will know which ones have had a capture or not, and you can spend your time accordingly. So we can see 5 devices there. Let's imagine we're checking them all manually, that we're going to spend 30 seconds to a minute at each one. So let's call it 5 minutes. We can walk past there in 20 seconds pretty much if there's no activity. So let's look at this image. As it stands, if this were a non-IQ station, what do we know has happened here? Well, we know there has been some rodent activity in this bait station since the last time we were there, or since we placed this bait into the station. Let's assume that's a month, right? It's we were there on the 1st of August. It's now the 1st of September. We just know that in that time, rodents have been in there and have gnawed on this Detex a little bit. That's maybe useful. But what about if you knew all of this information too? If you knew exactly how many times rodents had visited that station and when, and you had an understanding of the historical and seasonal trends in those locations as well. Now, imagine actually the bait station was now completely empty. And you knew that there was bait in there on the 1st of August, and now on the 1st of September, it's empty. Without IQ, you've got no way of knowing how long that station has been empty. It could have been empty for 30 days or for 30 minutes or anywhere in between. With IQ, it'll give you an understanding by looking at the timestamps of the activity. If all of the activity is in the first few days, that's a really strong indication that the bait ran out really quickly. So that's a good opportunity for you as a company to increase your revenue by giving proof to your customer that you need to increase your service. And that's the aim of the game here is to make money, of course. So this is a tool to help you do that. So this is essentially what will happen. The device will capture the time and date stamps. You will service with the bell sensing app, and you'll be able to view the times that those events occurred, and then all of that information is then uploaded via the cloud to the web portal and is sent in a summary form to the customer, or to, like I said, to whoever you wish to receive it. So it's a really neat, slick, and effective way of performing rodent control and capturing information and saving time at the same time. Excuse me. So the point of the devices, and we're looking at the Pulse Rat particularly here, this is our IQ Rat station, is just to help you be more efficient, know what's happening and when, and have the timestamps to prove it. So no more guesswork, no more what's the word I'm looking for? Subjectivity. It's all objective data gathering and information. 24/7 IQ, this is a multiple catch trap. Similarly, has the same sensor built into it as the bait stations do. Now I'm not sure how widely used multiple catch traps are in Australia. Certainly here where I live in Victoria, they're not used much at all because of the regulations. But around the country, the regulations are different, and you may be able to use them quite effectively. And the real key with the 24/7 is the amount of time it can save you in servicing. As the image I showed previously, If you're spending 30 seconds to a minute at every multiple catch trap, right now you might be using tin cats or Chinese copies of tin cats anyway. Physically checking those devices takes up a lot of time, and the IQ system will do the checking for you. Essentially, you just have to walk a lap, be within proximity, and you can know exactly which of these devices require your attention. And the T-Rex, I think this is such a cool thing. Like, often traps are placed in areas that are hard to access, maybe up high, require access equipment in roof spaces, under, in crawl spaces, in subfloors and that kind of thing. You don't have to go to these places anymore just to see that you haven't caught anything. The app will tell you, has the trap been triggered or not, and if it hasn't, then you can walk on by, knowing that it's still serving its purpose as an active trap. So that's a really really neat thing. And our tagline here is never check an empty trap again, and it's a huge time saver. And of course, if you do catch something, you have a timestamp as to when that happened, which might help you to understand a little bit more about the rodent activity at that customer. Spend less time by using IQ. Don't check empty traps. Don't service base stations without activity. Instead, focus your energy where it's needed, and get out of there sooner, and on to the next account and make more money. We did a time, and I say we, I wasn't involved, but as a company, we did a time trial, I suppose, at our facility in Wisconsin, USA, where all of these products are manufactured. And the numbers are there, 225 devices across the whole site. It's quite a large facility that we operate in. And to service those devices manually and so kind of the old way took 2 hours, or close to 2 hours. To service those with IQ, and this is just checking the activity, right? It's not necessarily going to those devices and cleaning them, or the other things that periodically have to be done. But on that regular routine, has there been activity or not? It took 25 minutes to service 225 devices just by walking around the facility and being within proximity. Now that's a 78% time saving across the whole site. And as you all know, your biggest cost as a business is your time. If you can save, 78% is huge, but if you can even save 20% of your time per customer, it makes you more profitable and gives you more hours in the day to go and service more customers. These pie charts are kind of here to demonstrate what we spend time doing, right? And the before and after with IQ. And I would argue actually that the checking devices segment of the pie and the before image is actually probably a little bit light. I would suggest probably as a technician, we're spending much more than less than 3/4 of the time. I would suggest nearly all of the time actually checking devices, very little time inspecting or interacting with the customer, or even making recommendations. We're just going from station to station or trap to trap, replacing bait if we need to. The idea with IQ is that it frees up technicians to actually solve problems, and be experts, right? So to spend time where it's needed with devices, and then spend more time looking for the conditions that are conducive to rodent activity, giving recommendations to the customer, interacting with that customer. Obviously, the better your relationship with your customer is, the more secure your business is with them, or their business is with you. And doing all of this in less time than previously you were spending. So providing a better service, capturing information, having a better relationship with your customer, and doing it more efficiently, much quicker, and essentially making yourself more money in the process. So spend less time checking devices and more time with your customers. Spend more time looking for problems and less time just mundanely, routinely checking bait stations. And don't waste as much time creating reports when this is all done automatically for you. The data is all captured and presented in a really user-friendly manner, and it's all there and managed and doesn't require any upkeep. And as I mentioned, the more time you spend with your customer, the more secure your business will be. Now, you're all probably saying, that's great, Sam. Thank you for talking to us for all this time. How much does it cost? Well, what I'll say is the price is certainly less than any other smart, and I'll use that word advisedly, any other sensor integrated products, because all you have to do with these devices is purchase them. There's no ongoing fee. There's no fee for using the app. There's no fee for using the web portal. It's just the price of purchasing the devices. Now, do they cost more than non-IQ devices? Yes, of course they do. We can't produce sensor integrated products for the same price as bits of plastic. Of course we can't. So yes, they're more expensive, but do they cost more? Well, no, they don't. IQ products will cost you less because, as I've mentioned previously, your time is your biggest expense. So if you are making, I guess, spending less time at your customer, you are already making more money. So IQ products will cost you less overall, even though the price over the counter, as it were, is going to be a little bit higher. And there's some numbers on the screen there to illustrate that. I mean, those numbers may be different than your numbers, and that's okay. But they're just a couple of examples. And that's it from me. One thing I will just mention is we are running a sign up promotion at the moment. So the pest management company or organization in Australia that creates the most new IQ accounts, so that is adds the most new IQ customers between the 6th of August, so earlier this month, and the 5th of June next year, will win a trip to Phailtma Pest Summit next July in Auckland, New Zealand, at the, I guess, courtesy of Bell Labs. So we'll pay for travel and accommodation and conference registration for two people from the company that creates the most new IQ accounts in that period. So hopefully that's of interest to you, and it's just something to have in the back of your mind. You might get a nice trip out of it. So yeah, I guess at that point, I'll open up for questions.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Sam. That's awesome. If you want to, can you just open up these mics, so if there's anybody who wants to ask a question, they can actually just shout out.
Mark, should I stop sharing the screen, or would you like me to leave it?
No, just leave the screen up. That's cool. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the mics are still locked. I think they are. Are they unlocked now? Somebody can try to unlock the mic and see if they can.
Sam, I'll just butt in and touch on one point. Do
you want to introduce yourself, Nick?
Yes, everyone, I'm Nick Jones. I work with Sam. I look after New South Wales, Queensland, bit of New Zealand as well for Bell. I'd normally have my face on there, but I've had a bit of eye surgery last couple of days, so I'll just stay behind the screen. But just feel free to reach out if you want to privately on any questions as well. But just a further point, I know straight away some people will go, if I'm not on site, what is the customer paying me for? At the minute, if you're servicing 30 or 60 bait stations, realistically, they're not paying you to be a bait station checker. And if there's no activity in these bait stations and we're going to every single one, we're giving them as much time and as little time to bait stations that have got a lot more activity. So all of a sudden you're solving the problems. And all of a sudden, if there's only 2 devices with activity, we can spend that time to solve that problem. And every single time you then go to site, you've got smaller and smaller problems, and that's where the compound interest on your saving of time on and off site is going to become greater and greater as you go forward. And the outbreaks with the customer is going to become fewer and fewer. So your pest control service is just going to continue to advance in the customer's eyes with the verifiable proof of what you're doing on site.
That's great, Nick. I'm just looking in the comments. I don't see any quote. I did see someone take their mic off earlier on. I think it was. Did see somebody unmic themselves? Yeah, if you just want to shout out if you've got a question or stick it in the chat, we can read that out. Yeah, I guess you kind of covered most of what I was thinking about at the end there. Sam, obviously you're not charging for the software, you're not charging for the logins, you're only really charging, your only investment really is the device, which is good. There's probably a lot of other systems where you've got to kind of add those multiples to work out what your costs are going to be. So I think that's good.
Yeah, it's there are some other systems on the market that do. There's nothing that does quite the same thing, right? Where there's a few other developers that have produced some fairly tech-heavy systems, some fairly impressive from a technological perspective products, but they're really for my money, and you know, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and nobody's opinion necessarily is wrong. But for my money, a lot of the other more, shall we say, more advanced technologically devices are produced by technology folk, not by rodent control folk, right? So Bell Labs is a rodent control company, and we've tried to look at what is rodent management and how do we do it, and how can we use technology to improve that, rather than how can I jam a square peg into a round hole and force some technology into a product that, or into a service that I'm not ultimately that familiar with. And we're doing that at a scalable price, you know, with, precisely as you said, we're not having to include any subscription fee or ongoing monthly charge per device or per site or per anything. It's just what we do is make products and sell them, and that's what we're doing here as well.
Yeah, that's right. And I think as we discussed on Monday, Sam, the more devices you have, you know, the more the savings are, I guess, you know, because if you've got 100 units and you've only taken a stab at 10 IQ units, well, you know, you're getting some data, but you're not getting a huge amount. Whereas if the whole site's IQ, that improves the data, which more and more customers, and we see that even from our side as well. You know, we're discussing with pest managers on a daily basis, and the customer is driving for more data, more reports and things, and that becomes very burdenous on the pest controller. But if you can automatically pull that data and have it there, and be able to have it on the portal, which is, you know, you guys are servicing all that side of it as well, that just makes life a lot easier for the pest manager when it comes to looking after that digital tech.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's obviously different sorts of accounts have different requirements, and food manufacturing, pharmaceutical, kind of the to use the Rentokil phrase, the high dependency type clients are really interested in information and data. Some customers are probably less interested in that, but there's still advantages here for the pest manager, right? Which it helps them not only service the place more quickly, but actually have a deeper understanding of the activity that's occurring there, right? So
what's going on,
better at the job.
Yeah. The whole, I think we've got a question there. Is it Dude or Dad?
Yes. Hi, guys. My
Hi.
name is Duat. I'm from Quality and Safe Pest Management. The question I had was, so once we buy the whole bait station, like the trapping or the bait station itself, say if we're setting up on a commercial or residential, can we like sort of set up all these units and then give it under control? Basically, can we like, is this like a sort of renting it to them and then we can take units back and use it somewhere else, or you're actually selling it out to them?
So it's an interesting question you ask. How you choose to, the model you choose to run is entirely up to you, right? So some companies like to sell every piece of hardware up front. Some would include the hardware in, whether it's IQ or non-IQ devices, just sort of build that into the cost of the contract, right? Whether that's a monthly, quarterly, or per service fee. The devices themselves, when you create the customer, you add the device, the IQ device, to that account. It can't then be just taken and used somewhere else. it can be, but there is a process to follow, right? It has to be, it's kind of locked. That device is then locked to that account unless you, as the administrator of that site, removes the device from that account and then adds it to another one. So, like from a security perspective, and I don't think this is necessarily the question you were asking, but your competitors can't come along and take your IQ products and use them themselves and save a bit of money. That's not going to happen. I guess they can still use them as bait stations, but they're not going to benefit from any of the data. But how you go about structuring the sale, if you will, is that's a call for your business to make. Everyone will have their own ideas on that. Not to labor the point though, what I will say is those companies that are doing the best with this system in this country are not selling these devices. They are just doing it, right? They're swallowing the outlay themselves, and they're making their money back in the time savings.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any customers that would be stealing other people's bait stations, Sam. I thought I'd just point that out. It's quite a reputable kind of crew we've got here.
I wasn't suggesting anyone on the call would do that, obviously. Wouldn't dream of it. But on that point, there is we're nervous about people getting our information or our customers' information, and this is a secure system, right? So I can't just with my Bell sensing app, I just can't go around to other IQ devices that aren't connected to my account and capture that information. It's all locked to the account, and it's all very secure from that perspective.
It's secure, yep. Yeah. And I guess from the app point of view, you can obviously have as many app users on the system. Yep. As far as technicians are concerned,
That's correct. You add the users within the web portal, and then all they have to do is download the app and log in with the details that they are added with. And it is important that and it sounds like a funny thing to say, but you do have to remember what your login information is, write it down somewhere, whatever, because I was doing an install with a guy in Melbourne a few weeks ago, and we set it up like right then. We did it all in this, we created the portal and then logged into his app. And in the time between creating the portal and logging into the app, which was about 20 seconds, he forgot what his password was. And then he had to click on the forgot password thing. And then he forgot it again because he's moving so quickly, right? So there is a requirement to I don't know, have a little tiny amount of common sense as well.
Yeah.
Which we all have if we look hard enough.
For sure. I think we've all got those password issues on everything. The other thing to point out, I guess, that came up in our conversation the other day, Sam, was that you're typically you need to set these units up on site. It's not something you can preload when you're in your office and bring it out to site. You're doing it on site, and that's part of the setup from triggering the battery life. You want to explain about that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mark. Excuse me, the battery life, as I mentioned, is about 3 years, and that's 3 years from installation, right? Or from activation. It's not 3 years from when it's manufactured. The products are shipped in a sleep mode, and they have to be activated in order to be added to an account, which you would do when you install it. And you activate it simply by pressing on the sensor, or in the case of a trap, just by opening the trap. And what happens is once it's activated, if you don't then add it to an account using the app, I think it's 20 minutes or half an hour. If it's in that time, it's not added to the account, it goes back to sleep. So it doesn't, like if you accidentally activate something, it doesn't just start the 3-year time clock. But to your point, you certainly could pre-bait them, in your shed or in your office before you went, but you would want to activate them and add them to the app as you go. You could do that remotely as well, but when you install them on the app, it gives you an opportunity to name the device, right, and give a location. So you might put bait station 6 under fire extinguisher. Like you might not, unless you're on site, you might not have that information available to put in. So I would do it as you go. And in the first instance, the installation here is going to take a little bit longer than a a typical non-IQ installation, but your service time from that point forward is going to be massively reduced.
Yep, no, that's great. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, just something we came up because obviously a lot of the time when you're installing a lot of these more modern type digital smart systems, there is a lot of sort of pairing and timing things up and stuff like that. So, you know, what this looks like is a fairly simple setup, you know, to be able to get that get these units in as quick as possible.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. All good. Well, if there's no other questions, I know that oh, I know. I still got the mic on. It's all good. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so if there's no other questions, we'll close off this month for that. So I think next month for the webinar, we've got a sundew presentation on some wasp treatments. So we've got that. We'll put the invite out for that beginning of the month. So yeah, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for Sam and Nick for their contribution today. It's been fantastic. It's given us a bit of an understanding of what this IQ product's about. I've seen a line about the branches and haven't been too sure about what it was capable of. So I guess it makes a lot more sense to me now as well. So thank you all for your time today, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks everyone. Thanks Mark.
Thanks guys.
Thanks Mark. Thanks Sam.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.